Act as if everything always works out, because let me tell you, it does when you believe it does. You see, most people wait for the stars to align, for everything to be perfect, for the timing to feel just right before they move. But let me ask you something: how long will you wait? How many dreams will you leave buried under the weight of doubt and fear, simply because you were waiting for certainty? Life doesn't give us guarantees, but it does reward courage. When you step out and act like everything is working in your favor, something remarkable happens. Your mind begins to cooperate, your energy starts to shift, and the world responds in kind. Now, I'm not talking about wishful thinking, I'm talking about a deep, unwavering faith in the unseen. A mindset that says, I don't know how, but I know it's going to happen. When you carry that kind of belief, doors open, opportunities reveal themselves, and people show up just when you need them. But it starts with you. You've got to act the part, walk with confidence even if your knees are shaking, speak life over your dreams even when others laugh, show up every day with the energy of someone who knows they're destined to win. Because when you do that, you send a message to life itself, a message that says, I'm ready. And life responds to readiness. You might not control everything, but you do control your attitude, your effort, your perspective. Choose to see challenges as stepping stones, not stop signs. Choose to speak victory when it looks like defeat. Choose to keep going when everything in you says quit, because the truth is, the universe favors the bold. And when you act like things always work out, you give yourself permission to keep moving forward no matter what. So stop waiting for proof. Stop waiting for signs. Be the proof. Be the sign. Move like it's already yours. Think like it's already done. Live like it's already real. And one day, when you look back, you'll see it always was. 1. Believe it's already working in your favor. 2. Act with confidence, not hesitation. 3. Speak victory even in the face of doubt. 4. Move forward without needing proof. 5. Trust that bold faith attracts real results. 1. Believing it's already working in your favor is more than just a nice idea or a feel-good statement. It's a powerful mental shift that changes everything, and I mean everything, about how you live, how you think, and how you react to the world around you. You see, most people walk through life expecting things to go wrong, bracing for disappointment, preparing themselves mentally to fall short, and then they wonder why their lives feel like a constant uphill battle. It's not that the world is against them, it's that their belief system is set to expect failure, and the mind, being the most obedient servant you'll ever know, simply aligns with that expectation. But when you flip that switch and start believing that things are already working out for you, even when you can't see it, even when there's no evidence, even when life looks like a mess on the outside, you begin to harness a force that's greater than circumstances, greater than logic, greater than anything standing in your way. That force is belief, pure, raw, unshakable belief. Not blind optimism, not fantasy, but a deep knowing that says, I don't need to see it yet, because I already know it's working out for my good. And that kind of belief rewires your brain, it changes the chemicals in your body, it elevates your energy, it lifts your spirit, and most of all, it changes what you're willing to do, how far you're willing to go, and how resilient you become when life hits hard. Because it will hit hard. You will be tested, stretched, knocked down, misunderstood, doubted, laughed at, and overlooked. But if you carry this belief with you, if you hold it like a torch in the dark, you'll keep getting up, you'll keep pressing forward, and you'll keep seeing things come together in ways that people around you can't even explain. And they'll look at you and say, how did you do it? And you'll smile because deep down you always knew it was working out, even when they didn't. See, belief isn't passive, it's active. When you believe it's already working out, you start making decisions that match that belief. You walk into rooms with more confidence, you speak with more certainty, you make bolder moves, and you stop settling for less than what you truly want. You don't beg life for blessings, you expect them. You don't wait for a break, you create one. You don't shrink back when you hear no, you hear not yet. That's the difference, and you don't get there by chance. You get there by choosing every single day to believe even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. You might be broke right now, down to your last dollar, but believe it's working out. You might feel lost, confused, or uncertain, but believe it's working out. You might be surrounded by negativity, but believe it's working out. Because belief is what cracks open the door, and once that door is open even a little, opportunity can find its way in. Now, some people will hear this and say, "But what about reality?" And I say, your reality is shaped by what you believe. Reality is not fixed, it's fluid, and it bends to the power of your mind. The greats throughout history, the dreamers, the innovators, the trailblazers, they didn't succeed because their circumstances were perfect. They succeeded because their belief was stronger than their obstacles. They had vision, and vision is born from belief. You've got to see it before it shows up. You've got to carry it in your heart before you hold it in your hands. That's how it works. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe life is moving in your favor, then who will? You've got to be your own cheerleader, your own motivator, your own fire starter. You've got to wake up and speak it over your life. It's working for me. It's aligning for me. Things are shifting. Doors are opening. People are being sent my way. Opportunities are being prepared. Blessings are chasing me down. Speak it until you feel it, and then speak it some more. Because your words carry energy, and energy attracts. When your belief lines up with your words and your actions, the world has no choice but to respond. But if you keep doubting, if you keep hesitating, if you keep focusing on what's missing, then you're feeding the very reality you don't want. You're watering weeds instead of planting flowers, so take your focus off the lack and place it on the promise. The promise that if you don't give up, if you keep walking, if you keep believing, something beautiful is on its way. Sometimes you won't see progress for weeks, months, even years. But belief isn't about what you see, it's about what you know deep down. It's about trusting the process, even when the process doesn't make sense. It's about knowing that delays aren't denials, that obstacles are detours, not dead ends, and that every single challenge you face is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for the very thing you asked for. That's what belief does. It transforms the way you see your journey, and here's the thing, belief is contagious. When you walk in it, people feel it, they're drawn to it. They don't even know why, but they want to be around you. Because belief carries power and power changes rooms, so don't wait for proof, be the proof. Don't wait for someone else to validate you, validate yourself. Don't wait for the breakthrough to celebrate. Celebrate now because the breakthrough is on the way. That's how you move different, that's how you rise, that's how you win, and every time life tries to whisper it's not working, you shout back, yes it is, I believe it is. Keep that fire alive, nurture it. Guard it. Don't let other people's fear dim your flame. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your inner voice. You've got something special in you. Call it greatness, call it purpose, call it destiny. It's there, and it's waiting for your belief to unlock it. You've got to believe in the dark so you can walk into the light. You've got to believe when it's quiet, when it's lonely, when no one claps, when no one notices. That's when it counts the most. Because once you make that decision to believe it's already working out, you tap into the same power that built empires, launched revolutions, and turned ordinary people into legends. You align yourself with something higher, something divine, something unstoppable. And when you truly believe, when you fully embrace that everything is working out, not by accident, but by design, you'll start to see it. Bit by bit, piece by piece, the picture will come together, the people you need will appear. The right words will come at the right time. The doors you thought were closed will swing wide open, and you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because you finally understand. You never had to have it all figured out. You just had to believe. You just had to walk like it was already done, talk like it was already yours, and trust that what's meant for you is already finding its way. So if you're going to believe anything today, believe this: it's working. Right now, behind the scenes, through the pain, through the uncertainty, through the silence, it's all coming together. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep moving like you've already won, because deep down you have. 2. Act with confidence, not hesitation, because confidence is the energy that turns invisible dreams into visible results. It's the bridge between your ideas and your achievements, and I'm telling you right now, if you want to change your life, if you want to level up, if you want to start living instead of just surviving, you've got to stop waiting and start acting like the person you want to become, long before the world sees it, long before you feel ready. And especially when everything inside you is screaming, hold on, wait, what if it doesn't work? Because here's the truth: hesitation is the thief of greatness, hesitation is the silent killer of potential, hesitation will have you second, guessing, overthinking, doubting yourself into paralysis, and you'll look up one day, years gone by, realizing that while you were standing still, life kept moving, and someone with less talent, less knowledge, less ability, but more courage stepped into the role you were meant to fill simply because they had the nerve to move while you were still waiting for permission, still waiting to feel good enough, qualified enough, prepared enough. And let me be the one to tell you, you don't need permission, you don't need perfection, you need courage, you need decision, you need boldness, and that boldness comes from believing in yourself when no one else does, from trusting your gut when your mind is full of fear, from walking through doors even if your legs are trembling. And here's what most people don't understand. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you choose. It's a decision you make every single day to back yourself, even when you don't have all the answers, even when the plan isn't perfect, even when the outcome is uncertain, because let's face it, when is it ever certain? Confidence is born in action, not thought, and the more you act, the more you build it. So stop waiting for the feeling and start creating the momentum, start making moves. Even if they're messy, even if they're small, because each step chips away at the fear, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've climbed mountains that once intimidated you, and what used to scare you now excites you. But none of that happens if you let hesitation run the show. Hesitation says, what if I fail? Confidence says, what if I fly? Hesitation says, I'm not ready. Confidence says, I'll learn along the way. Hesitation says, I might not be good enough. Confidence says, I'm growing every day. And I promise you, the people who make it big, who do the unthinkable, who break cycles and build empires, they're not fearless, they just act anyway. They just step up and figure it out as they go, and you can too, because confidence isn't reserved for the elite. It's not reserved for the lucky. It's available to anyone willing to claim it, willing to walk through fire for their vision, willing to keep showing up even when they're underestimated, overlooked, criticized, and misunderstood. And that has to become you, because this world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe you deserve, and when you act with confidence, you start telling the world exactly who you are. You start setting the tone for how you'll be treated, how you'll be paid, how you'll be remembered. But if you hesitate, if you shrink, if you tiptoe through life hoping not to offend, you'll never activate the power that's been buried in you this whole time. You'll never step into your true potential, and let me tell you, that would be a tragedy, because you were born for more, not to doubt, not to delay, not to stay small, but to rise, to lead, to shine. And the first step is deciding, right here, right now, to stop overthinking and start owning your value. You've got gifts in you that you haven't even tapped into yet, and they're waiting for one thing: your confidence, not the fake kind, not the loud, boastful, surface-level show, but the kind that says, I may not have it all figured out, but I trust myself to keep going. The kind that says, I've been through enough to know I can handle what's coming. The kind that walks into rooms and doesn't beg for a seat at the table. It builds its own, and if you've ever doubted whether you've got that kind of strength, let me remind you of something. You've survived every bad day you've ever had. You've overcome things that once looked impossible. You've rebuilt yourself from rock bottom, and if you did it before, you can do it again, but not if you let hesitation tie your hands behind your back, not if you wait until every duck is in a row, because newsflash, they never will be, and that's okay. Progress was never meant to be perfect, just consistent, and confidence is the fuel that keeps you moving. It's the signal you send to life that says, I'm serious about this. And life starts taking you seriously the moment you start taking yourself seriously. You've got to talk like you mean it, walk like you've got purpose, look people in the eye and let them know you're not to be played with, not because you're arrogant, but because you respect the work you've done, the pain you've pushed through, the growth you've earned. And let me be clear, confidence isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about owning everything you are, flaws, failures, and all. It's about knowing that you're worthy even while you're still becoming. And when you carry yourself like that, people feel it, they respond to it, and doors open that once seemed locked. Rooms invite you in where you used to knock with hesitation, because confidence is magnetic. It pulls opportunities toward you, it attracts the right people, and it repels the ones who were never meant to walk with you. So please don't confuse playing small with being humble, because there's nothing humble about dimming your light to make others comfortable, and there's nothing confident about waiting for approval to be great. You've got to give yourself permission. You've got to crown yourself before anyone else sees the throne, and once you do, once you decide to act with boldness, everything begins to change, slowly at first, then all at once, because the world starts to mirror your energy, but it can't reflect back what you don't project, and if all you show is doubt, then all you receive is limitation. So if you want to rise, you must rise in spirit first. You must carry yourself as if the breakthrough has already happened, as if the opportunity is already yours, as if the success you dream of is already on the way, and you walk, talk, and show up from that place. Not from fear, not from lack, not from hesitation, but from certainty. And no, you won't feel confident every single day. That's normal, but act like it anyway, because the act becomes the reality, the performance becomes the pattern, and before long, confidence isn't something you fake, it's something you are. And every time you choose action over hesitation, every time you step up instead of sitting back, every time you speak up instead of staying silent, you become more of who you were always meant to be. So go out there and claim it, the life, the dream, the destiny. It's waiting on your confidence. Not your fear, not your excuses, not your hesitation, but the fire inside you that says, I will not wait to be ready. I will act like I already am. And that's when the magic begins. 3. Refuse to entertain fear-based thoughts, because the moment you let fear rent space in your mind, it starts building a home there, decorating every corner with doubt, hesitation, worry, and worst case scenarios that haven't even happened and probably never will. And I'm telling you, if you don't evict those thoughts fast, they'll chain you to a reality that was never meant to be yours. They'll block every ounce of greatness you were born with, because fear, my friend, is a liar, a master illusionist, a thief dressed in the disguise of logic, whispering in your ear just when you're about to leap. What if you fall? And if you listen, you hesitate, and if you hesitate, you stall, and if you stall long enough, you forget what you were even chasing. So let's be clear, fear is not just an emotion. It's a decision, a pattern, a habit, and the more you entertain it, the more power it has over your life, your choices, your future. And the thing is, it always wears a mask. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, sometimes it shows up as perfectionism, sometimes it hides behind fake wisdom that says, Play it safe, don't take the risk, be realistic. But realistic for who? For the version of you that's scared or the version that's limitless. You've got to decide, because the thoughts you feed grow, and if you're constantly feeding fear, watering it with doubt, nurturing it with attention, then don't be surprised when your life starts reflecting that energy back at you, because life is a mirror. It reflects not just what we do, but how we think, and when your thoughts are soaked in fear, your results will be soaked in lack, in missed opportunities, in doors that never open because you never had the courage to knock. And let me remind you, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the refusal to bow down to it, and that starts in mind, because if you conquer the battlefield up there, everything out here becomes easier to handle. It's like training your mental muscle. Every time a fear-based thought shows up and you say, "No, not today," you build strength. Every time you choose faith over fear, belief over doubt, you build resilience, and that resilience becomes armor, and that armor becomes your advantage. Because while most people are controlled by their fear, you'll be guided by your vision, and when your vision leads the way, fear has no choice but to fall behind. And yes, those thoughts will still come. They don't just disappear, but you don't have to entertain them. You don't have to invite them in. Sit them down, pour them coffee, and ask for their advice. You acknowledge them, and then you move, because fear loses its grip the moment you act in spite of it. And the problem with most people is they wait to feel brave before they move. They wait to feel secure before they start. But that moment never comes, because bravery is born in movement, not stillness. So you've got to flip the switch. You've got to become the kind of person who says, "Even if I'm scared, I'm going to do it anyway." And that voice in your head that keeps saying, "What if it doesn't work?" You've got to answer back, "But what if it does?" Because fear always shows you one side, the dark side, the worst side, the "what if I lose" side, but faith reminds you of the other side, the side where you win, where you grow, where you rise. And you've got to train your mind to live there, to stay there, because the world is already filled with people who gave up before they even tried, who shrank themselves to fit inside the tiny box fear built for them. But that can't be you, not anymore. Not if you want to create something meaningful, not if you want to become everything you were meant to be. And trust me, I know it's not easy. I know fear feels real. I know those thoughts come strong, come loud, come fast. But you're stronger, you're louder, you're faster when you decide to be. And you have to decide every day, because this is a mental war, and the enemy is subtle. It sounds like, "Let's wait a little longer," or "What if you're not ready?" or "You're not good enough." And every time you believe that nonsense, you shrink your light just a little more, until one day you forget how bright you ever were. But today, right now, that changes, because from this moment on, you become the kind of person who recognizes fear and calls it out, who refuses to entertain lies, who speaks truth over fear, truth like, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am ready." Even if you don't feel like it yet, because thoughts shape feelings and feelings shape behavior. So you've got to feed your mind what you want your life to reflect. And I'm telling you, your future depends on this, because you can't build an extraordinary life on fear-based thinking. You can't attract abundance from a mindset rooted in lack. You can't break through if you're constantly playing defense against your own thoughts. And that means developing a new mental script, a new internal dialogue, one that interrupts fear the moment it appears, one that says, "I don't need to know the whole path, I just need to take the next step." One that says, "Even if I fall, I'll get back up stronger." One that says, "Fear is loud, but my purpose is louder." And you repeat that over and over until it becomes your truth, until fear becomes background noise and your faith becomes the volume you turn all the way up. And when those thoughts come creeping in late at night or early in the morning or right before you're about to take that leap, you stand tall and say, "I hear you, but I'm not listening." Because fear might knock, but it doesn't get to enter unless you open the door. And from now on, you keep that door locked. You keep it guarded. You fill your space with truth, with vision, with love. with goals so big that fear has no room to sit down, no space to breathe, because when you stay focused on your dream, you starve your fear of the attention it needs to grow, and this isn't something you do once and forget. This is daily, this is moment by moment, and the more you do it, the better you get, and soon it becomes second nature. Soon you start living on another level, one where fear shows up but doesn't stay, where fear taps your shoulder but you don't turn around, where fear says you can't, and you smile and say, "Watch me." Because you've learned that you are the master of your mind, the boss of your thoughts, and fear doesn't get a vote unless you give it one, and you don't, not anymore, because now you understand that greatness lies on the other side of fear, and the only thing standing between you and that greatness is a thought pattern that you have the power to rewrite. So pick up the pen, reclaim your story, and write one where fear is nothing more than a footnote in your legacy of courage, strength, and unshakable belief, because you, my friend, were not born to live in fear. You were born to ride in faith, to move in purpose, and to walk through life with the quiet, steady fire of someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to let fear have the final word. 4. Talk to yourself like you would someone you deeply love, because believe me, your inner dialogue is not just background noise. It's the blueprint of your belief, the seed of your self-worth, and every word you whisper to yourself either waters your potential or withers your confidence. And most people, they don't even realize it, but they've become fluent in self-rejection. They wake up and speak to themselves with a tone they'd never use on a child, on a friend, or even a stranger, saying things like, "You're not enough. You'll never make it. Who do you think you are?" And if anyone else said that to them, they'd be angry. They'd stand up and say, "Don't talk to me like that." But when it's coming from inside their own head, they just accept it, let it loop on repeat. And that's the tragedy, because the most important voice you'll ever hear isn't the critic outside. It's the one inside, and if that voice is always tearing you down, always pointing out your flaws, always telling you how far you have to go instead of how far you've come, then you'll start to believe it. And when you believe something long enough, it becomes your reality, and that's why you've got to flip the script. You've got to interrupt the pattern and start speaking life into yourself like someone who actually loves the person in the mirror, like someone who knows that behind every scar, behind every mistake, behind every tear and trial and temporary setback, there is a soul that is worthy, a fighter that's still here, still pushing, still trying, and that deserves respect, deserves kindness, deserves to be lifted, not dragged. And I'm not talking about fake flattery or empty affirmations. I'm talking about truth, about learning how to be honest with yourself in a way that empowers, not condemns, because yes, you've made mistakes, yes, you've got room to grow, but that doesn't mean you get to be your own bully. It means you be your own coach, your own motivator, your own safe space in a world that constantly tries to tell you what you're not. Because if the world is already trying to tear you down, you can't be doing the same thing from the inside out. You've got to stand guard at the gate of your mind and be intentional about what you let in, what you replay, what you repeat. And it starts with language. It starts with how you talk to yourself when nobody's listening, when nobody's watching, in those quiet moments when the weight gets heavy and the voice of doubt gets loud, because that's when it matters most. And in those moments, you've got to choose to speak with love, with gentleness, with fire if you need it, but never with hate, never with disgust, never with the poison of comparison or self-hate, because you can't build a masterpiece if every brushstroke comes from a place of rejection, and you are a masterpiece in progress, evolving, growing, shedding layers, learning lessons, and that journey deserves love, not judgment. So talk to yourself like you would someone you cherish, someone who's been through hell and is still standing, someone you admire, someone you believe in even when they stumble. And when you wake up in the morning, instead of picking yourself apart, I want you to practice speaking strength. Say, "I got this." Say, "I'm proud of how far I've come." Say, "I may not be perfect, but I am powerful. I am enough." And the more you do that, the more your brain starts believing it, because repetition is how beliefs are built, and you've already proven that. Look how long you believed the lies just because they were repeated. So now it's time to repeat something better, something true, something healing, because you are the only constant in your life, and that relationship, the one you have with yourself, is the foundation of everything else. And if you don't love you, if you don't respect you, if you don't talk to you with kindness and care, how can you expect to show up powerfully in relationships, in business, in purpose? It starts with how you see yourself, how you treat yourself, and I'm telling you, you've got to make it a daily discipline, because this world is loud and fast and full of criticism, but you can be the one voice that brings peace, that brings power, that says, I believe in you. And don't you dare wait for someone else to say it first. Don't you dare wait for the world to validate you, because that's an inside job, and when you make it your mission to speak love into your life, your energy shifts, your focus sharpens, your spirit lifts, and suddenly you're not chasing approval, you're walking in alignment, you're building from a place of wholeness, not emptiness, and that's when things start to click. That's when you begin to attract better, do better, be better, because the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live, and if that story is filled with shame and blame, you'll stay stuck. But if that story is filled with grace and growth, there's no limit to what you can become. And here's the truth. You've been through things that would have broken others. You've faced storms that tried to bury you, but you're still here, and that alone deserves love. Deserves compassion, so remind yourself of that every chance you get. Talk to yourself like a warrior, like a survivor, like a creator, because you are all of that and more, and when you fall short, don't crucify yourself. Coach yourself, guide yourself, get up and say, I've learned from this. I'm still worthy. Because that kind of self-talk doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you unshakable, it makes you magnetic, it makes you a force, and the people who change the world, who light up rooms, who lead with heart, they've learned how to love themselves through the process, not just the outcome, and that's the goal, to stop waiting for the result before you give yourself permission to feel worthy, to start seeing yourself as enough right now, even while you evolve, even while you stretch and reach and rise, because growth is not the enemy of self-love, it's the evidence of it. And when you understand that, your whole mindset transforms. You stop chasing perfection and start embracing progress. You stop beating yourself up and start building yourself up. And that's what this world needs. People who have learned to love themselves not in ego, but in truth, in spirit, in resilience. And if nobody told you lately, let me be the one to say it. You are worthy, you are doing better than you think, you have value just as you are, and your job is not to be perfect. It's to keep showing up with love, especially for yourself, and when the days get hard, and they will, you double down on that inner voice, you speak even more powerfully, even more kindly, and you don't let the darkness outside drown out the light within, because that light, that's yours to protect. And it grows brighter every time you speak to yourself like someone who matters, because you do, always have, always will. 5. Act as if everything is rigged in your favor, because when you walk through life with that kind of mindset, something magical happens, not in the stars, but inside you, because it shifts how you think, how you move, how you bounce back, and most importantly, how you believe and belief in everything. It's the foundation that either lifts you or limits you. So when you choose to believe that even the setbacks are setups, that the delays are divine, that the closed doors are not rejections but redirections, suddenly you don't panic when plans fall through, you don't fold when pressure rises, because you're walking in faith, you're acting from a place of deep certainty, and that certainty becomes a magnet for miracles. And I don't mean sitting back and hoping everything works out. No, I'm talking about showing up like it already has, walking into every room like you belong there, treating every challenge like it's been custom, made to make you stronger, because when you act like life is on your side, you stop wasting energy on fear, on doubt, on overthinking every move, and instead, you start flowing, you start creating, you start trusting your path even when you can't see the whole map, and trust me, you're not always going to understand it in the moment. You're not always going to see the blessing wrapped in the breakdown. But if you keep going, if you keep believing that something bigger is unfolding for you, you'll start to notice that all the puzzle pieces really do fit, that all the pain had a purpose, that all the waiting built something unshakable in you. And this mindset, it's not naive, it's powerful. It's the difference between giving up when things get hard and growing through what you go through. Because when you believe it's rigged in your favor, you don't get bitter, you get better, you don't complain, you create, you don't shrink, you stretch, and life starts to mirror that energy back to you, because your attitude shapes your altitude. And if you're constantly expecting the worst, constantly bracing for failure, then your actions will match that expectation, and you'll play small, you'll hesitate, you'll miss out on opportunities that were right there. But when you act like life is rooting for you, like every day is working on your behalf, you move differently, you speak differently, you treat people differently, and people can feel that energy. It's magnetic, it's courageous, it's contagious, and I get it. You've had disappointments, you've had things fall apart. You've had people walk away or betray you or count you out, and it's easy to start thinking the universe is against you, but that's a lie you don't have to believe anymore, because what if those things didn't happen to break you, but to break you open? What if they were the very things you needed to dig deeper, to rise higher, to become wiser, tougher, more compassionate? And I'm telling you right now, nothing is wasted, no season, no struggle, no heartbreak is meaningless if you decide to grow through it. And acting like everything is rigged in your favor doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you respond to reality with resilience. It means you stop being a victim and start being a visionary. It means you meet life with open arms instead of clenched fists. And that shift in posture changes everything. It changes how you handle losses, how you celebrate wins, how you keep your peace in chaos, because you're no longer reacting to life. You're co-creating with it. And when you approach life like a co-creator, like someone who knows that what's meant for you won't miss you, you stop forcing things, you stop begging people to stay. You stop chasing validation, and you start attracting experiences that align with your highest self. And that alignment, it's powerful. It opens doors that hustle alone never could, because the universe responds to intention, not desperation. And when your intention is clear and your energy is aligned with faith instead of fear, favor finds you, blessings find you. People who see your value show up, not because you begged for them, but because you became a match for them. And all of this starts with a decision to act as if it's already working out, even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet, even when the bank account is low, even when the plan is unclear, even when the weight is heavy, even when the voice of doubt gets loud, because that's when faith is tested. That's when your mindset makes or breaks you. And let me tell you something. You are not powerless. You are not unlucky. You are not cursed, you are capable, you are chosen, you are becoming, and that means the process might get messy, it might get confusing, it might stretch you to your limits, but it's molding you for something more. And if you can hold on to that truth, if you can wake up every day and say, I don't know how, but I know it's coming, then you'll start to see little signs, conversations, doors, encounters, shifts. And those signs are your confirmation. They're the echo of what you already believed, because you were willing to walk in faith before you saw the fruit. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers, survivors from the thrivers, the people who give up from the ones who grow up. And you've got to decide which one you're going to be, because the power is in your posture, in your perspective, in your belief. And belief is a choice. It's not always easy, but it's always available, and you can choose to believe that life is a cruel game, or you can choose to believe that life is conspiring in your favor, and whichever one you choose, your life will reflect it, because your mind is the projector, your thoughts are the script, and your words are the commands that shape your reality. So Speak like it's working, move like it's unfolding, show up like your breakthrough is already in motion, and don't let circumstances shake your conviction, because storms don't mean the sun's not coming, delays don't mean denial, and closed doors don't mean it's over. It means there's something better, something more aligned, something you couldn't see yet. And if you can just keep your heart open, your mind grounded, and your energy rooted in belief, then even when life throws curvy balls, you won't lose your balance. You'll adjust, you'll adapt, you'll pivot, and you'll rise again. Because deep down, you know you weren't built to break, you were built to overcome, and when you walk through life like you're being guided, like you're being prepared for something greater, then you'll stop resenting the journey and start respecting it, even the hard parts, even the lonely seasons, because every version of you is sacred, every season is a teacher, every step matters, and nothing is wasted. So act like everything is rigged in your favor, not because it's always easy, but because it's the mindset that will carry you when nothing else can. And if you keep going, if you keep showing up with faith and fire, then one day you'll look back and realize it really all did work out, not because you had it all figured out, but because you had the courage to believe, and belief changes everything.